Okay, I hope this is working. I had a new little talk that I wanted to do, and I actually drafted it up a couple of weeks ago, and last Wednesday, I can't remember what happened. I think I just wasn't feeling the greatest, and if I usually come on Wednesday nights, and this coming Wednesday, well, it's Thanksgiving Eve, and I don't think it's going to be a good time for me or maybe many of you. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to pop on and just do this right now. And I have been having some microphone trouble, so hopefully this, you know what, I don't think anyone's on right now. So I'm just going to take a minute and I'm going to make sure my microphone's working. Let's see. Can I hear myself on my phone? Oh, excuse me, a little itch. It's working. Good. Okay. So, now I closed my notes, but so let me reopen my notes, and we'll get started here in just a minute. And of course, one reason I like to do these lives is because you just turn on the camera and you get it done. I tend to, sometimes I will pre-record something, but I tend to want to go back then and edit and clear everything up and take out every little or ah or every little time I scratch my nose. And it's too much, and it doesn't really matter anyway. So yeah. So I just like to pop on live sometime. I don't know what I was doing there. Oh yes, I was trying to find my notes. And what else? How's everyone doing going into this week? The last week in November? Okay, there they are. This is my first time to give this little talk, to give this teaching, so if you don't mind, I am going to pull up my notes. All right, are you ready? Okay, we're ready. I'm ready. I don't think anyone's here, but they'll come back. They'll catch the replay. Okay, so the question is, why do we get stuck? And how do we know if we're stuck? And how do we as women, and especially even as Christian women, how do we move forward when we're stuck? How do we get out of it? How do we get motivated and move ahead? So, first of all, how do we even know if we're stuck in the first place? Well, there's the obvious situations. You're spinning your wheels. You're circling the same situation or the same mountain again and again. You are waking up with the same level of fatigue or discouragement or lack of motivation, or it's just the daily routine. The daily routine is a bunch of to-dos. And have-to-dos and must-dos, and it's just it's our normal, but it's not what we really envisioned life to be like. We feel like there's something more. We used to have dreams, big dreams of things that we wanted to do, or even now we might have smaller things, but they're more purposeful. We want to do more purposeful things and more intentional things and leave a legacy. And I'm not talking about just a huge, legacy and for hundreds of thousands of people or anything like that, but even just for our families and our loved ones. But we're stuck. And so if you've been saying to yourself, I know God has to have more for me, why can't I move forward? Then these talks I've been doing, the Wednesday night soul care talks, these are going to be for you and what we have going to close out this year and start up next year. is going to be something just for you. So move in close and let's talk about, first of all, why do we get stuck? And reason number one, we get stuck because we truly do have fatigue. We're tired, we're exhausted, and we have some false beliefs. Both of those. And so the first part 1A, is that we are literally exhausted. Fatigue is real. And I'm not just talking about the, oh, I stayed up too late kind of fatigue. It's the deep in your bones soul fatigue, the kind that makes your brain feel foggy, your emotions feel heavy, your motivation feels like it just went out the window. It evaporated overnight. And sometimes we feel bad about our lack of motivation or lack of energy. We think maybe we're just being lazy. Maybe we're depressed. Maybe we're imbalanced somewhere. However, much of the time it's just because our nervous system is overwhelmed. You're depleted, and your brain's just trying to protect you just kind of by slowing yourself down because you're carrying so much stress. And on top of that, we often carry false beliefs that we picked up somewhere along the way in our lives, usually in childhood, maybe in younger childhood, but oftentimes in our preteen and teen years or our young adult years. Maybe a painful experience or a subtle message we picked up somewhere, an experience we had with our peers. Little things that we believed to be true, but they're actually lies. And sometimes those lies start to sound like, I have to be strong all the time. And it might be because we might be saying, because there's no one there to be strong for me. Or we may feel like our needs don't matter, and there's many reasons why we could have picked up that false belief at any point in our life. Or if I slow down, everything will fall apart. It won't get done. Everything will be a mess. The whole family structure will collapse. I can't slow down. I gotta keep doing this. I gotta keep fixing things. I gotta keep taking care of this. It's okay for everyone else to rest, but not me. Many reasons why we could be picking up these scripts, these beliefs, and running them automatically. Another one is, God is disappointed in me because I keep struggling with this, because I don't do the things that I want to do for Him. Another lie. But these beliefs, they act like invisible barriers. Okay? It's like a wall that prevents us from moving through. The fatigue slows us down, and the false beliefs keep us stuck in place. You know, a while back, someone did an experiment. I should have looked it up before I got on, so I could actually tell you where you could find it, the research about this. But they put a fish, like a little goldfish, or one of a bigger goldfish. They put them in a goldfish bowl, not a super small one, but a medium-sized one. And the fish was swimming around in the bowl, and then they inserted a little glass pane into the middle of the fish bowl. And so the fish obviously was trying to get to the other side. He could see, it was transparent, he could see through it, but the little fish kept going through and boom, banging into the bowl, banging right into that glass wall, right into that glass slide, right into that barrier, again and again. And so eventually the fish learned not to do that. Okay, I can't go over there anymore. And so the fish just started swimming in its own little side, half of the bowl. And it did that for a while. And then the owner or the person that was doing the experiment pulled the glass out. It was no longer there. But guess what? The fish didn't even try. He'd quit trying. He just kept staying on his side of the bowl. And so that is what we do. That's what many women do, men too, many Christian women. We act just like that fish in the bowl. We are held back by a belief that is no longer true, and it's completely, and if it is something that was once true, it's no longer true, and it lost its power years ago. Another reason that we get stuck and stay stuck is that we don't even realize that we're just living in a default state, and that we've predetermined, whether we realize it or not, that we're going to live in that state. And our normal sense of normalness is actually a sense of overwhelm, or a sense of duty, or a sense of have to do, or a sense of getting through life, survival mode. And we've just allowed this to become our normal, and we've accepted it in our own minds. This is just the way it has to be. That right there is a lie, by the way. So we get used to living overwhelmed and tense and rushed and anxious and disappointed or numb. And then that's just our normal. It's just our autopilot. It's our default switch. So have you ever been driving? Let's say you usually go someplace on Wednesdays, but this week you have a different appointment. You're going to see a different doctor, and you usually make a stop over here on Wednesdays. So you get in the car and, turn it on the radio, listen a little bit, and then the next thing you know, you pull up at your regular Wednesday spot when you were supposed to go to the doctor. And you're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't even thinking. I was just doing the habit without even realizing it. I'd gotten in and went the default way. How did I get here? Well, your brain slipped into that default mode, that default path, going through the normal familiar thing. And you go back to the normal familiar place, even though you had plans or thoughts or dreams of going someplace else that day. And so many of us live our entire emotional lives this way. And we're not doing anything wrong. The brain does this to conserve energy. It runs the old patterns. It learns and runs the old patterns. And so we know, though, that Romans 12:2 says not to be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And this can be applied in so many different ways. But tonight, it means we don't have to live according to the default setting. Okay? But how do we get off of that default setting? First of all, we have to realize, you know what? Maybe I am stuck. Sometimes we don't know we're stuck. We just accepted that this is our life. This is what we have to do. Just keep going, keep doing, keep doing for everyone else. Keep have to do, must do, gotta do. We never pause enough to actually ask, is there anything different? Is this the only way? Is this actually what God has planned for me? To just live in this cycle of getting up. I used to call it the weight of the daily grind. Getting up, going to work. Okay? Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to go out and quit their jobs and go chase your dreams. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, well, let me get on. I'll wrap that up at the end. And I'm starting to get into it right here. Reason 3, We don't know how simple it can be to manage and overcome these things. A lot of times we do think, oh my gosh, I'm not happy with this part of my life. I must change it. I must change jobs. You know, I've got to quit this job and find something else. I've got to do something else. You know, sometimes we think I've got to quit this relationship. But the way to get unstuck is actually taking very small, purposeful actions. Okay? And they're simple. And it's not always easy, but it is simple. Something can be simple and hard at the same time. And I wouldn't say it's hard either. It's different. It's different. But making some tiny shifts in the way you manage your nervous system, making some very small reframes in the way that you think, incorporating some somatic practices in your day that take less than a minute or so, finding one lie that you're running a script on and replacing it with truth, finding one week, kind of getting that one untangled and worked out, then picking up another one the next week. Then a couple weeks later, you address another one. Little, purposeful, intentional changes. So these small, simple practices will end up over the course of really sooner than you think, weeks, couple of months, reshape your energy, increase and bring back your motivation, and can completely transform your outlook on life and on your belief in what's possible. You know, Psalms 119, 105 says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And of course, we're not talking about electrical lamps like we have now, our fancy lamps, our floor lamps, our flood lamps. We're talking about a lamp in the biblical times, like a little lantern, a handheld lantern, like they had in the pioneer times in the 1800s. It just lights the next step. And sometimes we say stuck because we think we've got to make a big change, or we've got to wait for things to be right to make a big change, or we've got to wait until we save up enough money to go do the thing or create the thing or buy the thing or experience the thing that we want. But that's not the plan. That's not the plan that makes the big difference. You start right where you are with these small little adjustments. And then finally, there's another pretty big reason why we get stuck and stay stuck. And that's because when we do decide, okay, we're going to make a change, well, sometimes we try to make too big of a change too fast, and we try to do it alone. We don't have support, we don't have community, and you know, the Christian life was never meant to be lived in isolation. Okay, when you look at scripture, we see Moses had Aaron, Ruth had Naomi, Paul had Barnabas and Timothy. Jesus did life with his community of friends and disciples. So Ecclesiastes 4, 9, and 10 says, two are better than one. If either falls down, one can help the other up. Now, don't get me wrong. I know some of us are single, or maybe we don't want to be. And I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about trying to make major changes without any type of support group. We all know that that's the secret ingredient, right? The secret sauce. That's what made Weight Watchers so successful back in the day. They were the ones that put a support group with it. But when we're tired or stuck or living in survival mode, we're not thinking clearly, and We need other believers around us who can remind us of what's true, speak life over us, walk with us, pray with us, hold us accountable, maybe even help us see some patterns we are repeating that maybe we can't see, and then encourage us and cheer for us when we start growing and getting motivated and moving forward. So trying to break the old patterns and trying to make changes, major life changes, even small ones, one after the other, or sequential changes, it's like trying to just push that boulder all by yourself without anyone to help. Of course you're going to get discouraged. It's going to be hard to move. But when someone comes alongside you and pushes with you, and when you have a team pushing with you, the load's a lot lighter. And suddenly, moving forward, it's doable. So before I go a little bit further, excuse me, I just have this itch, and I just have to itch it. I do want to say a little disclaimer, that there's times when being stuck or being fatigued or overwhelmed, there can be a medical issue, a major mental health condition, something like that. In those situations, medical support is always absolutely necessary and valid. So I'm not talking about cases where someone needs psychiatric care or medical care or specialized intervention. I'm talking to the woman who's seen her doctor, she's taken her medication if they've been prescribed, she's done all the research and is doing the supplements and trying to keep her energy up, and it's just not. She's following all the protocols, but just still feels so fatigued, so unmotivated, so overwhelmed, and so stuck in the same cycles. If that's you, well, that's who today is for, and it's who the next few of these Wednesday night sessions, usually it's Monday night tonight, are going to be for. Because you move forward, and first of all, when you learn that you're not stuck because there's something wrong with you, you're stuck because nobody ever taught you how your brain and your body and your soul work together. And then as a Christian, we also bring in the spirit. Brain, body, soul, and spirit work together, and you make little adjustments. There's like the gears. You make adjustments in one, and then another, just tiny ones, and the next thing you know, you're up and going again. And everything begins to change. And some of you have already taken part in the Foundations cohort of my Faith and Soul Care Foundations cohort, and you've had kind of what I call the onboarding experience to making these changes and seeing what can happen in just a couple of weeks. And so I wanted to remind everyone that starting right after the new year, but enrollment will be starting very soon. I was hoping for Friday, but you're going to be bombarded with so many things on Friday. It's probably going to be closer to Monday or mid next week. Definitely within the first week of December, enrollment's going to open for another Foundations cohort if you have not been through that one yet. And then the step 2, the phase 2, which I'm calling the Life Points cohort. The Life Points Faith and Soul Care cohort. That one's going to be 12 weeks. It's going to be 3 months. Okay. And some of the things that we do in the Foundations cohort, many of you have already been through it. We learn somatic practices to calm the nervous system. We start there with the body because we learn that muscle relaxation and breathing practices, they calm the mind so we can even reflect. We can get them on calm enough so we can actually reflect on some things without all of our thoughts just going every which way. But then we also calm the body. I mean, literally, we get the stress out of our body through gentle exercises. And when we get stress built up stress, when we get that out of the muscles of our body through doing things like progressive muscle relaxation, our energy starts to come back. I've had several women tell me, I feel like my energy's back like I was 10 years ago. You know, for my 40th birthday, I went and I rolled a roller coaster. I rode a roller coaster, a big one. Then my 50th birthday came around and I was like, how could I have done that 10 years ago? I don't even want to, you know. can we just go a few blocks to the normal restaurant and come back home? But I don't know. I think I could go on that roller coaster again because my energy's back. And when your energy comes back and your motivation starts to come back, and when your motivation starts to come back, you start doing little things again, meaningful things, purposeful things, and you do one thing and then another, and then it just starts snowballing. And before you know it, your energy's back, your motivation's back, and you don't have to keep doing the normal dreary cycle of have-tos, must-dos. That's my life. It's a bunch of have-tos and must-dos. That's a lie. That's a lie. So in the foundations cohort, we really focus on the somatic practices, and then we have the intro into the false beliefs, learning how to identify those false beliefs, get them out, especially the ones that are most affecting us right now, and starting to untangle them and replace them with truth. And we do this all in small, doable steps. And we do it together, most importantly. We do it together, not alone. That's the secret ingredient, because when we, as Christian believing women, walk together, the healing happens faster, the motivation grows, the accountability starts to feel gentle and not intimidating, and joy begins to return. You can borrow hope from the group when your hope feels thin, or you can borrow faith when your faith feels tired and worn out. And that makes a big difference. It changes everything. So as we go into this Thanksgiving week and into the holidays, just realize that if you feel stuck, or if you just realize, I am stuck. I didn't know I was stuck, but I am. If you've been spinning in fatigue and overwhelm, or just old patterns, if you know deep down that God has something more from you, and you just can't seem to figure it out or get it going or step into it, then I want you to know you don't have to stay this way, and you don't have to figure it out alone. So inside the cohorts, you get the tools, you get the community, you get the simple practices, you get the spiritual formation, you get the emotional support you need to finally break free, get unstuck, and step into the more purposeful living and intentional living that God has intended for you. And I would love to walk with you through it. So if you are not on my email list yet, get on my email list. I will put the link. You know where to look for the link. It'll be somewhere under the video, in the show notes, on the blog. If you're not on the email list, get on it so that you will be the first to get notification when the enrollment opens up sometime between the end of November and the first week in December. We are going to have another quick 2-week foundations cohort, and then the longer one, the 3-week life points cohort. And in the meantime, since I guess we have 1 week in November, is December 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks. We have about at least 5 weeks between now and then. I will share some resources with you. I do have a book that I wrote, Closer to God, Simple Methods, Simple Methods Starting Today, Closer to God, Simple Methods Starting Today. I wrote that in 2018, and it's really, I wrote the book before I ever even dreamed of creating this online community and creating these cohorts. So the book is just the very basic foundations. Like the book is like, it's like the foundation cohort week 2. It's the effective prayer practices, the faith practices. So it's a good chunk of it that if that's not an area where you're real strong in your life with your walk with God and your prayer with God, that'd be a great place to start, because that is part of the cohort, but it's one small part, but also a foundational small part of both cohorts. Cohort number 1 and cohort number 2 would say foundations and life points. I also have the prayer journal that I designed. I'll put all these links wherever the links are around this video. I have a prayer journal that also can really help you with your effective prayer, and also it will help with a weekly, what we call a little mini pouring out, where you identify what you're struggling with that week and what truth can be spoken into that. I also, this is new, I just hit publish on a new journal. It's a small journal. It's only about 40 or 50 pages, but it's titled 28 Days to a Calm Heart. And then it has a really long subtitle, like I often do. It says, daily prompts to help you release anxiety and overwhelm, to refill with God's love, because he's always with us. It's something like that. It's a really long subtitle, but that's the thing. The main title is going to be, and I literally hit publish on it this morning. It'll take probably 2 to 3 days to be available, but that'll be available too. And that one has different prompts. It's different than what we've done before, but each day there's a selection of prompts, and you can do one a day, or you can do one a couple a week, but there's a selection of prompts that will really help you do, for those of you who've been for the foundation cohorts, you know about the pouring out and the refilling. It's like little mini pouring outs and refilling, and it'd be great to get through, to help get through the next 5 weeks, and to stay grounded and focused on what's important, and by doing just some little each day. What thought can I practice today? Where have I struggled now or in the past? And what thought can I just start thinking about today? And just kind of get your brain primed up, I guess, for what we'll be doing after January. Okay? Well, that's what I had. And so I will leave this up for a while. And I don't know that anyone was even on. But, it looks like someone came on. Who came on? Someone came on and left me a comment. Oh, Miranda, hi. I don't know if you're still here, but I will leave this up. It'll be up for at least 30 days. Definitely at least 2 weeks. I think Facebook will let it stay up 30 days. I also take it down and I'll put it on my YouTube so you can find it in all the places. But have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and good night. And take care. Bye for now.